And today I'm going to go through my process for building a backing track from a set of stems. So either you've downloaded a set of stems, or if it's your own, you've recorded a set of stems. If it's your own track, you've probably got your studio recording, and you can use that as a basis of building a track and filtering it out. I'm going to be doing it from a track I've grabbed from karaoke versions. If you haven't found karaoke versions, it's brilliant. £2.50, $3, and you get a multi-track mix of millions of songs. So I'm just going to use one of their songs as a demo for how I would take a multi-track mix and turn it into a set of backing tracks. So first off, we want their custom backing tracks because that's going to give us all the stems for the track. They've got millions of them. Well, they've got 66,000 different tracks. So if you're doing, if you're a cover band doing, playing anything that your audience has ever heard of, it's probably on karaoke versions. The song I'm going to try and do today is Manic Monday by Bangles. And when we select it, you see, this is their user interface. We can go through and we can turn on individual tracks. So just bass and drums, acoustic guitar. That's a nice little lift. Nice bass line. And if you want to do a quick and dirty track version, we can just go through and go, look, turn everything off. Piano and backing vocals. I want those on my backing track. Great, and you can just download it. But that doesn't necessarily work that well with click tracks and glides. And if you're going to have a live drummer, you're going to need a click track. So if we're going to actually turn this into sort of a proper backing track we can work with a live band, the first thing is we're going to need an intro count. So up here there is a click track. Which runs throughout the track. I have had problems with a couple of them getting out of sync actually, but generally they're pretty good. But we are also going to need a count in. Count-ins are going to be fiddly. I'm going to have to commit that later on anyway, but I want a count in. That's going to add a count in. Now the problem with their counting is that will add a count in to every single track. So if you're just trying to work with what they're doing, there isn't actually a way of getting a good count in out of their downloads. So what do? Turn on intro count, and then we need to download all of the stems. Actually, in one of the FAQs, they're like, how do I download all the stems separately? And they're like, go through and solo each one. So actually, this is their recommended workflow. It's really clunky, but if we want to have control over our mix, I'm gonna just hit download, and this is just gonna output me the click on the track. So it's mixed it, it's downloaded it. I'm gonna save that to downloads. Save. And if I go into my downloads, see I've got an MP3 with the click in. So far so boring. Now a little trick which is going to help you, download them from the bottom first. You'll see why in a minute. So I'm going to start with, I should really start with the lead vocal, so I'm going to download the lead vocal. I shall edit this out. And then backing vocals. Okay, time has passed. It's tedious, but it was only 2 or 3 minutes for me to go through and download all those files individually. And Now I've got them all in my downloads folder, and obviously I keep my downloads folder sorted sort of by date added, so that the most recent ones are at the top, which is why I specifically downloaded those tracks from bottom to top, so that the most recent track, the last track I downloaded was the drum kit, so it's going to be at the top. I started from the bottom with lead, backing vocals, strings, so when I sort by most recent, they're in the same order here as they were on karaoke versions. That's going to be handy. So now all I need to do is go to Cubase, new project, is select all of these and drag them in, and I'm going to drag them in so they're just going to line up here on the one. You see that little green? I think that's where they're going to go. I'm going to drop them here. Insert objects under different tracks. I want them on different tracks. Copy all files to the project folder. Yes, because I'm going to delete these later. I don't want to rely on them. And now we wait. And Cubase is going to import them. Now, the trick is, because they're ordered like this, this is the order that the tracks are going to appear in Cubase. For months I was doing it the other way around, and then the first thing I had to do was reorder all my tracks to get them right. But you'll see now that they're in Cubase, let's just get rid of that. Okay, my click is at the bottom. I actually want my click at the top. But all of the rest, you see, we've got, so if we've got, down here, we've got our lead vocals. That's all my lead vocals. There's a few things we can do. I need to do to clean this project up before I can really start. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename all these tracks. So I'm just going to go through, click. If you press tab, it goes down to the next. Drums. If I go back to karaoke versions is telling me this is 121.6 BPM. That sounds good, because that sounds like they've actually checked it and it's actually right. 126 BPM. 121.6. Okay, so I've just dragged this so that the click is on the bar, and if I go through, I can see, yeah, that's bang on. So up here, I'm just looking at my clicks and seeing that actually, if I solo this and turn on the metronome, so these are absolutely locked in sync. So they obviously recorded this particular backing track with a click, which is great news. They don't always. It doesn't matter if this is wrong, because we're not really going to do an awful lot of re-recording. But if you are going to do a lot of re-recording, or you're going to start doing much editing to this, Cubase does weird things if you change the tempo later on. Now the next thing I need to do is just deal with my click, because we get our count in. Okay, good news, it's given us 2 bars of click. Sometimes it only gives us 1 bar and click, in which case I would go in here, split this track here, and then I would copy and paste this onto the beginning of the track. I would move all of these across, go here, and copy and paste this, and then move this around to try and get it in time. Fortunately, I don't. It's given me 2 bars of counting, which is exactly what I want. We don't have to have 2 bars of counting. 1 bar is fine, but traditionally I've always done it with 2 bars. This goes back to the days before we all had in-ear monitors with guides, and really just, only the drummer was getting the click. So historically we've done it with 2 bars of click, one bar for the drummer, so the drummer would get click, 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 click in his ears, and then the second bar he would hit the hi-hat, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the band's in. So I'm kind of used to working with 2 bars of click. You could work with 1 bar click, but it's kind of nice because 1 bar click's like, oh, the first bar is kind of like, hey, pay attention now. Second bar, it gives you time to really grab the tempo. And that extra half second, a couple of seconds, that extra second doesn't really matter. So I kind of like 2 bars of click. So the next thing I need to do is need to get rid of these intro clicks. So if I look at my drums, my drum track, it's got the click on the beginning, which we don't want. Basically, when you turn on an intro click, it puts it on every single track. We don't want that, so all I need to do is just select all of these and just chop that and erase them all. Or actually I can just select and delete. So now if I unsolo those, we get right. Now that I've got everything kind of lined up where I want it, I'm going to duplicate my click. So I'm just going to say duplicate track, and I'm going to rename this one guide. I'm going to leave it for now, but I'm just going to put it there. Okay, so we've got click, guide, and instruments. Okay, so now we've got our basic track set up. The next thing we need to do is start allocating some channels. So looking at a mixer, we'll see that we're going to, by default, we get 1 stereo out. And we can play around with that with audio connections. And so we see stereo out is going to my UMC 404, outputs 1 and outputs 2. So I'm going to add a bus, which is going to be mono. And I'll call that one click. I'm going to add another bus for guide. And I'm sending these to outputs 3 and 4. If you haven't got 4 outputs on the device you're working on, it's absolutely fine. You can send them to 1 and 2, and you'll still feel. In fact, I'm going to send these to 1 and 2 so that you can hear them. The other buses I'm going to add, I'm going to add another bus I'm going to call aux 1, which is a stereo bus. And I'm absolutely going to send that to 1 and 2 because these are going to get mixed into my main output. It's okay to reassign to use the same output multiple times. And I'm going to add another one for aux 2, stereo, left, right, and again I'm going to send that to 1 and 2. Once you've done this the first time, it's not a bad idea to save a preset. So I'm going to save this as a preset as BT setup UMC 404. And then next time I can just say, hey, look, do that, and it'll order some. So what I've got now is I've got multiple output buses. Now, okay, aux 1, aux 2, and stereo out all go to the same place, but that doesn't matter. Because now what I'm going to go through is I'm going to start allocating tracks to buses. So the first thing is my click is going to go to click. So down here, routing stereo out, I'm going to send my click to click. I'm going to send my guide to guide. Everything else is currently going to stereo out. So once I've got everything set up, roughly speaking, I need to decide what I want on my different backing tracks. Click and get it taken care of. Drums, I know a drummer. Bass, I know a bass player. Singer, we're definitely going to have a singer. We're not going to have 4 guitarists, but do we need them all? So if I listen through, there's a nice little acoustic guitar part that I'm going to leave the acoustic guitar part on the backing track. I'm going to mute guitar 1 and 2. Guitar 3's got this little riff. But I don't think the guitarist can play it and play the rhythm part at the same time, so I'm going to leave it on the backing track. So now I need to decide what to do with the keyboard player. The keyboard player, I don't have one, but I'm looking for one. So I want to be able to gig with or without a keyboard player. So I'm going to take piano. I'm going to send it to aux 1. But I'm assuming a piano player is going to play that when I find one. The other keyboard parts aren't really so important, so I'm going to leave those on the backing track. So I've removed all of the tracks we're definitely not going to need, and the piano part, which we may or may not need, I've put onto aux 1. Now I need to pay a little bit more attention to my guide. The first thing I look for in my guide is the drums, because most of the time we don't want click in your ears if we can hear the drums. And so we can see, I would normally just scan through. Yeah, that sounds hard. I could totally see an inexperienced band fluffing that. So I put my drum. Landing back in on that one is going to be tricky. So I'm just going to split this off here. So after this, we're absolutely fine. Don't need that one. And I'm going to just go back a few bars to go, okay, so when does the timing start to get tricky? So I'm going to split it here and turn this one on. So we're going to get clicking our ears through that tricky little bit just to help us, and that's probably all I need on my guide. You can also add any mixing sort of tricks you want to add, a little bit of compression, sort of EQs, adjust the levels. I usually find that backing vocals are a little intrusive. So I'm just going to take those. Just take them down sort of 3 dBs. This is also, at this point, you can go in and re-record any tracks that you want, that you don't like. Maybe so they sound a little bit more like you. So if you maybe want to re-record your backing vocals so that it's in your singer's voice. Anything you do, now's the time to play it. But all of that's optional. What we now need to go on to is getting these out as individual tracks. I need to go through and make sure I'm exporting the whole region. So I've got along the top, I've got everything selected. Down here, I've selected everything from bar 1 all the way through to bar 97. probably more than I need on the end, but it doesn't matter. And because we've set up all these outputs, this is really easy. We just get a file and export audio mixdown. And we can export each of these channels. Now, there is a trick to this. We can go in here and we can format this any way we want. So I want the project name. I don't want any free text. I want the project name, which is Manic Monday, and I want the channel name. Okay, what that means is the output is going to go to Manic Monday stereo out.wav. I do not want to be typing a made up name here. This doesn't do anything now because I've removed it. What it means is as I change these, they haven't fixed this bug. There's a bug where as I change these, this doesn't update properly, but it does work properly. So I'm outputting to Manic Monday stereo out. I want to change it to click. Okay. It outputs to Manic Monday clip. So my files are all going to be organized in a way. You're going to be producing potentially hundreds of files. Every track is going to have 3, 4, maybe 5 files associated. So we want them organized nicely. Setting it this way, I don't have to edit anything. So now all I need to do is just select the track I want to output, so stereo. Handy trick, keep audio dialog open because I want to see it, and just export audio, and it'll export stereo out. And then I can just change that to click. This doesn't update, there's a bug, but when I export audio, see it's export click, guide, and aux 1, which has my piano on. And that's me done. So now in my mixdown folder, I've got my click, my main audio output, got my piano on aux 1. So this is what I'm with my keyboard. When I find my keyboard player, this is what I expect him to be playing. So here we've got a guide, which is mostly empty, but just at the right moment, that little click comes in, which is going to help us to the tricky bit. And goes away. Okay, so now we've got all our backing tracks ready to go. All I need to do is just open up Playback. Got a new document here, new song. Thank you. Manic Monday. And then just double click and just drag that in here. So for the main track, I'm going to have Manic Monday stereo out, aux 1, click, I'm going to have click, guide, I'm going to have guide, and so all I need to do is just play it back. Click in my headphones, and track coming out in front of the house. And so when I come to perform this live, well, all 4 channels go to the main mixer. 1 and 2 get mixed in front of the house, and track 3 gets mixed into the drummer's IEM monitor feed, and guide gets mixed into everyone else's monitor feed. And that's how we do it. Okay, thanks for watching.